to some extent. What's the harm in screening applicants? Well, the harm is that a couple things. First of all, you could find out some information which, frankly, objectively speaking, really doesn't have anything to do with their ability to do the job, but is going to hurt your view of the person. For instance, I use the example of, if you really like a candidate and you check them out and you see they're a big Cubs fan here in St. Louis, well, that could lower your view of the person. That's a common sense thing. But I think that's a good example of, if that really genuinely would lower your view of the person, that's not a good thing from an objective standpoint, because that really has nothing to do with their ability to do their job. In fact, it probably means they're going to be more used to adversity, which.
Or they're incapable of reason.
But the bigger risk is that you could very well discover protected information that you don't already know about, and that can be used against you if the person doesn't get a job offer. So, for instance, if you review someone's resume, if you interview them over the phone, even if you bring them in for an in-person interview, you're probably not going to know a lot of protected information about them still. You're not going to know probably their age. Are they over 40 or not, depending on the circumstances. You're probably not going to know their religious beliefs. You're not going to know their sexual orientation. You're not going to know their national origin, etc. And what better protection to have if the person doesn't get the job than to say, I had no idea. I had a case that actually went to trial a few years ago where a African-American man who was in his 60s applied for a job for an organization that I represented, did not get a job offer, and then sued for discrimination on the basis of his race, his gender, and his age. Well, our defense to his, he was African American, and our defense to that claim was, we had no idea. We didn't call him in for an interview. We saw his paper resume, and there was nothing on there that would have indicated his race. There weren't any even hints. He didn't have a name that would, traditionally be associated with, African Americans. He didn't, have any association with, say, the NAACP or any organization. There was no hint, no clue whatsoever that you could have guessed this guy's race. And the judge agreed with that, with us on that, and throughout that charge. And I think that's a principle we need to keep in mind here, that you don't want to know everything you can possibly know about someone, because then it can be used against you. If you run this person through the recruiting process and you make a decision on them, and you just don't know, and there's nothing that would have suggested these protected characteristics, well, that's as insulated as you can get from a discrimination case. However, if you say, well, I did get on Facebook and LinkedIn and saw a picture of this person and saw that they're Hispanic, and they had their birth date, or at least they said they graduated college in 1969, and so yeah, I knew they were over 40, and I knew their religion, and I knew their political views, and I knew their sexual orientation, all because I looked at their Facebook page. Well, now you can't say you didn't know that. I mean, you can still defend yourself and say, that had nothing to do with my decision. My decision was purely business-based, but now it's a lot more difficult for you to defend yourself. So the answer is, you're going to learn, you may learn helpful information, but you may also learn information that's not going to help you. That's why I say, if your organization is going to do this, I think it's better to have someone in HR do this, and then maybe submit something in writing, send an email to the hiring manager that says, everything looks good. Or, I question whether this person uses the best judgment because they have pictures of themselves, falling over drunk all over their Facebook page. That's okay. But if the HR person, sees their religious affiliation, their race, their age, and all that, but doesn't pass that on to the decision maker, well, that still insulates the decision maker. So I think putting that additional step there is a way to to filter good information to the hiring manager, but keep out the information that the hiring manager doesn't want. Do you need authorization from the applicant to do this? No, you don't, unless you are hiring an outside company to do it for you. So as long as the hiring managers are doing it themselves, or HR is doing it themselves, then you don't need authorization. You don't need permission from the applicant to do this. Just to see what other people are doing. This is a survey of SHRM it has 2008, 2011 numbers. Not the easiest thing to read, but the bottom line is that most organizations do not Google people, do not check out social media sites. 67% here, both years, said they do not do it, and they don't plan to do it. Here's a more recent survey from April 2012, careerbuilder.com. Similar numbers. 37% of companies use social media to screen applicants. And now 11% more are planning on starting to do it. But still, you're looking at about 2/3 who don't do it. What are some reasons to do it? Well, legitimate questions, legitimate things you might find out is, does the candidate present professionally? Would the candidate be a good fit with company culture? What are some more information about the candidate's qualifications? And also, to be candid, to look for reasons not to hire the person. These are all things that you may not get from the interview or from the employment application or from the resume. And these would be, legitimate reasons to do some more background searching on the person. What do hiring managers find on social media that helps or hurts candidates? Provocative, inappropriate images and information, drinking or drug use, communication skills. I think we all realize that Facebooking is less formal than the job, but still, if the person can't, have, complete basic spelling or, communicate in a halfway intelligent way, even on Facebook, well, that's a legitimate consideration of yours, and something you're not going to pick up other than looking at, doing some background investigation on the person. Bad mouthing the previous employer. They're usually going to be very diplomatic about the previous employer in the interview, but maybe not so on Facebook. Lying about qualifications. Is the person well-rounded? Is the person creative? So the bottom line is that you are free to use social media during the recruitment process. Some experts strongly advise against it, but as we saw, it looks like about 2/3 of the more than 2/3 of the employers in the recent careerbuilder.com survey do use it and presumably find value in it. And there's a risk-benefit analysis. The benefit is, you could find out very helpful, legitimate information to make a more informed hiring decision. The risk is that you're probably also going to find out protected information that can be used against you if the person doesn't get the job. I would suggest the policy be to leave the background checking to the HR managers and have the hiring managers stay away from the social media checks. That way, the HR folks can filter through the legitimate information to the decision maker. So, in conclusion, here are some things to leave with you. Enact and distribute policies and procedures on social media use. Okay, so don't just be silent on it. It's a big thing, and you need to have some sort of policy on it. Train employees. That is, don't just bury it in the next employee handbook. That candidly, we don't like to admit it, but frankly, who reads those? So bring it out to the employees, train the employees on those policies and procedures and the reasons for them. Because if they just think you're being big brother and being heavy-handed, it's not going to go over as well as if you do explain the reasons to them. Ensure your policies on negative comments and on social media use are narrowly tailored so the National Labor Relations Board would not find they have a chilling effect on concerted activity. Ensure individual HR directors and hiring managers are complying with the organization's policies on screening applicants and background checks. That is to say, it's all well and good if you have a nice, clear, legitimate policy in writing, but frankly what's more important is, do the actual practices conform with that? So you need to make sure that people are actually doing what the policy says. So those are the three things I wanted to talk to you about today. You know, employees using social media during the day for social or business reasons. The big thing was the second topic, the protected concerted activity, which includes, well, activity as well as your organization's policies on it. And then the third thing is using social media to screen applicants during the recruitment process.